Welcome to this masterclass explainer. So today we're tackling a subject that honestly touches pretty much all of our lives at some point. We're talking about cancer. Now look, I know just hearing that word can immediately trigger a universal sense of dread. It carries a ton of heavy emotional weight for all of us. But as you'll see today, we really don't have to stay in the dark about how this disease operates. By unlocking the actual science behind it, we can shift our entire perspective from fear right over to empowerment. Because let me ask you, is fear the solution to cancer? Absolutely not. The real cure for fear is scientific understanding and actionable knowledge. Today, we're going to put on our lab coats and look at this disease through the lens of a research scientist. We'll decode exactly why it happens, how our own DNA plays a role, why today's treatments are practically unrecognizable from a decade ago, and most importantly, the exact practical steps you can take to protect yourself. All right, here is our roadmap for today. We've got 1. The biology of cancer. 2. DNA and carcinogens. 3. Major cancer categories. 4. Precision medicine and therapies. And 5. Early warning signs and prevention.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, the biology of cancer.
To really wrap our heads around cancer, we first have to understand how a normal, healthy cell goes about its day. Our bodies are made up of trillions of cells, right? And they follow a really strict, fixed routine. They're born, they do their very specific jobs, they get old, and then they undergo this process called apoptosis. Apoptosis is literally just the programmed, natural death of a cell. It gracefully bows out to make way for fresh, new cells. But cancer? Well, cancer is essentially the story of a rogue cell that just ignores that apoptosis memo. When the system malfunctions, those old, damaged cells flat out refuse to die, and new cells just keep multiplying for absolutely no biological reason. This uncontrolled, chaotic growth creates a crowded mass of extra cells, and that's what we call a tumor.
Now hold on, because a really vital distinction needs to be made here. Not all tumors are cancer. We have benign tumors, which are non-cancerous. They're basically staying put in one localized spot, and they don't invade other parts of your body. But then we have malignant tumors, and these are the cancerous ones. They are aggressive, they break down surrounding tissue barriers, and the absolutely crucial point here is a word you've probably heard: metastasis. Malignant tumors shed rogue cells that literally hitch a ride through your bloodstream or your lymph system to totally different organs, setting up shop and forming new tumors. That spreading process, the metastasis, that's exactly what makes malignant tumors so life-threatening.
Moving right along to Section 2, DNA, mutations, and carcinogens.
Let's zoom way down into the cellular level to figure out why this deadly malfunction even gets triggered. Think of your DNA as the boss of the cell. It holds all the operating instructions. Every single time a cell divides, it has to copy that DNA perfectly. But occasionally, a little typing mistake happens during the copying process. We call that mistake a mutation. Now, normally, it's fine. Our bodies have amazing natural defenses. We have proto-oncogenes acting like an accelerator for cell growth, tumor suppressor genes acting like the brakes, and DNA repair genes that run around like tiny mechanics fixing those typing mistakes. Cancer only happens when a mutation sneaks past the mechanic, jams the accelerator to the floor, and completely cuts the brakes. The cell just endlessly divides.
So you might be wondering, what actually causes these typing mistakes? You hear the terms mutagen and carcinogen tossed around a lot. Let's clear that up. A mutagen is any physical, chemical, or biological agent that alters your DNA sequence. But, and this is key, a mutagen isn't always out to get you. Some mutations literally do nothing at all. A carcinogen, on the other hand, is a highly dangerous mutagen. It specifically and directly damages the exact genes that cause cancer. Basically, while all carcinogens are mutagens, not all mutagens are carcinogens. Make sense?
Let's look at exactly how these carcinogens wage war on your cells, because it's fascinating in a slightly terrifying way. We group them into 3 categories. First up, chemical carcinogens. Take tobacco smoke. It's loaded with over 70 known carcinogens that literally bind to your DNA and physically break its structure apart. Second, physical carcinogens. Think UV rays from the sun. They warp the DNA in your skin cells, creating these roadblocks called thymine dimers. It basically bends the DNA strand out of shape, which can lead to melanoma. And third, biological carcinogens. A classic example is HPV, the human papillomavirus. HPV is wild. It actively sends proteins into your cells with the sole mission of assassinating your natural p53 tumor suppressor genes. It's taken out your body's brakes on purpose.
All right, let's zoom back out for Section 3, major cancer categories.
We tend to talk about cancer like it's just one single illness, right?
but it's actually a massive group of over 200 distinct diseases. Clinically, doctors categorize them into 5 major buckets based on where they start. First, the solid tumors. We've got Carcinomas, which affect the skin and organs, and Sarcomas, which take root in your bones and muscles. Then we switch to the non-solid or liquid cancers. That includes leukemias, which circulate in your blood and bone marrow, and lymphomas, which actually attack your immune system. And finally, we have central nervous system cancers, which, as the name implies, are located in the brain and spinal cord.
But to put things into perspective, out of all those categories, carcinomas account for a massive 80 to 90% of all cancer cases. This is the big one. It includes the most common types you constantly hear about: breast, lung, prostate, and colon cancers. They all start in the tissues that line our inner and outer organs.
Let's transition to Section 4, Precision Medicine and Therapies. So because cancer is over 200 different diseases, treatments today have to be highly individualized. Back in the day, we relied almost entirely on standard biopsies and x-rays to figure out what was wrong. But today, 2 patients sitting next to each other with lung cancer might actually have completely different diseases at the microscopic level. Enter next-generation sequencing, or NGS. This is a real game changer. Scientists can now extract the tumor's DNA and run advanced molecular testing to find the exact specific gene mutation that's causing the uncontrolled growth. It's like finding a needle in a microscopic haystack, and it has completely revolutionized diagnosis.
And this brilliantly illustrates why treatments have fundamentally changed. Traditional chemotherapy is kind of like a sledgehammer. It kills all rapidly dividing cells, good and bad, which is exactly why patients lose their hair and feel so incredibly weak. But now, we have targeted therapy. If that molecular testing finds a specific mutation, your doctor might just give you a tablet that acts like a lock and key. It blocks only the mutated cells, while leaving your healthy cells completely untouched. And then there's immunotherapy, which is practically science fiction. It doesn't even attack the cancer directly. Instead, it supercharges your own immune system's T cells so they can recognize and destroy the tumors. It is absolute precision medicine, and it is saving lives.
Okay, let's move to our final section: caution, early warning signs and prevention.
For this part, I really want to speak to you directly as a patient advocate. Your body comes equipped with an incredibly sophisticated early alarm system. Medical professionals actually use the acronym CAUTION to help you remember the signs. C is for a change in bowel or bladder habits. A is for a sore that just won't heal. U is for unusual bleeding. T is for a thickening or a lump anywhere in the body. I stands for chronic indigestion. O is for obvious changes in a mole. And N is for a nagging cough. If you're experiencing any of these, along with unexplained weight loss or chronic fatigue, those are massive red flags.
So here is the most actionable piece of advice I can give you today. Do not ignore these warning signs. And please, I beg you, do not rely on internet home remedies. If any of these symptoms persist for 2 to 3 weeks, you need to consult a physician immediately. Catching cancer in stage 1 before it ever gets the chance to metastasize and spread is quite literally the absolute greatest key to defeating it. But what if we could stop those DNA typing mistakes from happening in the first place? Obviously, things like genetics, age, and environmental pollution play a huge role. But look at this, nearly 45% of all cancers are entirely preventable through our daily lifestyle choices. Almost half. That means a huge portion of this battle is completely within your control. So how do we prevent it? First off, quit tobacco immediately. It is the single largest preventable cause, bar none. Second, load up on antioxidant-rich whole foods. They literally help your cells repair DNA damage. Third, get moving. Exercise 30 minutes a day. Why? Because obesity causes this low-level chronic inflammation that constantly signals your cells to divide. Fourth, eliminate or strictly limit alcohol. Your body breaks it down into acetaldehyde, which directly damages DNA. And finally, get vaccinated. The HPV and hepatitis B vaccines actually block the biological carcinogens that cause cervical and liver cancers. It's a no-brainer.
The final piece of the prevention puzzle is screening. And remember, you guys, screening is what you do before you feel sick. It's routine maintenance. Here's a clear, prioritized checklist. Women 30 and older get routine pap smears and add mammograms at age 40. Men, when you hit 50, you need to begin a simple blood draw for PSA testing. And for absolutely everyone over the age of 50, schedule a regular outpatient colonoscopy. They can literally catch and snip out polyps before they ever turn malignant.
I want to leave you with this empowering thought today. Cancer is an incredibly complex disease, but it is no longer unbeatable.
Science provides the weapons, but your awareness is your greatest shield. Between next-gen sequencing, targeted immunotherapies, and just having a solid understanding of our own cellular biology, we have literally never been more equipped to fight back.
But listen, understanding the science is just step one. The next step is action. So I'm going to leave you with this question to chew on. What single lifestyle change are you going to commit to today for your long-term cellular health? Think about it. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Stay curious, stay vigilant, and go take control of your health.